Good day everyone. For today, we're going to discuss the chapter 7, Noli Mitang Here. But before we start, let me introduce to you myself and my group mates. I am Alex, your first reporter for this chapter, followed by Miss Gian Olivar, Miss Jaldina Mendeja, and Miss Pamela Flora. Noli Mitang Here comprising 63 chapters and an epilogue. Jose Rizal's first novel, Noli Mitang Here, exposes the abuses and iniquities of many Spanish Catholic friars and government officials during his time. Rizal was a student of medicine at the Universidad Central de Madrid when he started writing it, and was 26 years old at its publication. The author fittingly dedicated the novel to the country of his people, whose mysteries and sorrows he brought to light in an attempt to awaken them to the truths concerning the ills of their society. The novel was originally written in Spanish, the language of the colonizer and the educated at that time. Noli Mitang Here published in early 1887 in Europe. The novel is now commonly called by its shortened name, Noli. Its English translation is usually titled Touch Me Not and the Social Cancer. Noli Mitang Here is a Latin phrase which means touch me not, a phrase which Rizal got from the Bible. In a letter he addressed to Felix R. Hidalgo, Rizal claimed that the phrase came from the Gospel of Luke, and Rizal made a mistake. It came from Gospel of St. John, chapter 20, verses 13 to 17. Let's now move on to the writing of the novel. Rizal influenced by Harriet Beecher Stowe, the Uncle Tom's Cabin. It portrays the brutalities committed by American slave owners and the pathetic condition of the unfortunate Negro slaves. On June 2, 1884, Rizal proposed the writing of a novel about the Philippines written by a group of Filipinos. The proposal that all of them would contribute papers on the various facets of life in the Philippines was unanimously approved by those present at the reunion, among whom were Paternos, or Pedro Maximino and Antonio, Graciano Lopez Haina, Valentin Ventura, Eduardo Delete, Evaristo Aguirre, and Julio Llorente. On January 2, 1884, Rizal explained in his letter, "It was unanimously approved, but afterwards difficulties and objections were raised, which means to me rather odd, and a number of gentlemen stood up and refused to discuss the matter of any further." He noticed that his compatriots were more interested in writing about women instead in spending time gambling or flirting with Spanish women. Interestingly, those Filipinos must have included Rizal's close friends, like Haina and Ventura. Sensing that it was improbable to count on the support of his companions, Rizal started writing alone the novel in Madrid toward the end of the same year and finished about half of it in the city. Leaving for France in 1885, he had written the third part of the novel in Paris. Wilhelmsfeld, he penned the last few chapters of Noli from April to June 1886. The novel was completed in Berlin, Germany at the end of 1886, and the final draft was ready for publication at the onset of year 1887. Dr. Maximo Viola, known as the savior of Noli, he visited Rizal in Berlin before Christmas of 1887. Next is the printing of Noli. The transition between 1886 and 1887 was perhaps one of the most stressful parts in Rizal's life. While painstakingly preparing the final draft of the Noli, he actually had in his heart the fear that it might be not published at all. For how could he have it printed if for his personal needs alone? He had insufficient money. Rizal would not ask his co-Filipino in Europe for financial help, especially because none of them supported him in writing the Noli. Thankfully, however, a friend from a rich family of San Miguel, Bulacan arrived in Berlin. Dr. Maximo Viola went to Germany to invite Rizal to accompany him on a Europe tour, but upon learning Rizal's quandary, the kind Viola decided to delay the tour and insisted on lending Rizal some money so that the Noli could be published. But even then, Rizal made some adjustments in the novel to economize in its printing. He deleted a chapter titled Elias and Salome, which was supposedly chapter 25, following the chapter in the woods. But Dr. Maximo Viola financed the printing of the novel by giving Rizal 300 pesos to print the first 2,000 copies of the Noli. Some references state that Noli Me Tangere officially came off the press on March 29, 1887, although records also showed that by March 21, Rizal was already sending Blumentritt a copy of the novel. For his generous act, Maximo Viola had fittingly gone down in the Philippine history as the savior of the Noli. As a token of gratitude, Rizal gave him the gallery proofs that the novel rolled around the pen used in writing the Noli. The author also gave the Noli savior the first copy to come off the press, on which Rizal inscribed a dedication, which described Viola as the first to read and appreciate Rizal's work.